Welcome in to the Blue Coats Beat. The Blue Coats, of course, the NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm Matt Murphy, along with, as always, Blue Coats ambassador of basketball, Joe Richmond. And on this episode, we are pleased to be joined by a Philadelphia basketball staple, a former NBA player who starred at Loyola Marymount University in LA prior to that, Bo Kimball. Bo, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you guys so much for having me.
So
It seems like we should have some music and some fanfare and all that, Matt.
You got to provide that, Joe. Here we go. So let's take the people back right away. How long have you two known each other? Starting with you, Joe, you can give us some insight there.
Oh, yo, Bo, man, thanks for coming on today, man. And it's always good to have you, Matt, man. I don't know if Bo remembers, but I first remember him at a playground called Ridgeway Playground in South Philly, 13th and Broad, right off of Broad and Fitzwater. And him and the team he was playing with came down there, man, and we never seen nothing like that. Like, Bo was like Steph before Steph, man. He was 1 foot across half court, and he was letting it go. And just kind of followed his career from high school. And but for me, it was amazing because he was that dude. Wasn't no social media back then, so you heard from guys from different playgrounds. And Bo was just one of those names, along with another magical name, as you can all well know.
Bo, that's awesome that your connection with Joe goes back that far.
Yeah, it does. And we were blessed to reconnect through a mutual friend who was doing a camp where my son was actually participating, Ethan Kimble. And so I went from watching my son play to talking to the kids before the workout started, the AAU workout with Sam Rhines, and then me and Joe reconnected. So it was great to see Joe. I've been blessed the last 30 years, been doing a lot of community work, giving back to the community. That's how I was raised. And it was great reconnecting with Joe. And so I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with him and the Blue Coats and the Sixers in the very near future.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. Let's give a quick rundown before we get into it for our viewers on YouTube or our listeners on the 76ers podcast network. We are going to talk about some of your 76ers connections, and then we'll get into Philadelphia basketball as a whole and that entire scene before transitioning into Bo's journey and playing career a little bit. And then at the buzzer, some final few fun questions, again, at the buzzer. But let's start with the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Blue Coats being the G League affiliate. With the Sixers, for those who don't know, it's current right now as we record this in early October. What is your connection to the new 76ers head coach, Doc Rivers?
Well, first of all, I was part of a three-way trade. I played 3 years with Doc Rivers, 2 years with the Clippers, and we got traded together from the Clippers to the Knicks in 1993. And shared a I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving with his family. So Doc is not only a great coach and all the things that he's done in his young coaching career, but he's even a better person. So I'm extremely, extremely excited, what Doc can bring to our team to really help our younger players develop. We really have a very unique and talented team. And I love the way that what Doc did with the Clippers. He had a lot of ball movement, bodies, and the ball moving. He had a great team. And I think that with his expertise, he'll be able to bring that kind of ball movement to allow Ben Simmons to get in the lane more, allow B to pretty much stay on that box. But more importantly, Doc will hold the players accountable. And that's more important than anything else, to put the players in the best situation to succeed. And being a former player, I think Doc played at least 17 years in the league. He knows the game inside and out and be able to pull out the best in all of our Sixer players.
Yeah, I want to say, like, you've been with him, man, and Bo, your career is just amazing, man. And
Thank
here
you.
it is, we from Philly, played at Dobbins, played for the legendary Yank, and went and did your thing. And who would have thought the way life kind of rolls around, you would reconnect with Doc, playing with him back in when those days when you got drafted and played with the Clippers, and now he's our head coach of our hometown team, the 76ers. And you talking about all these different things that he does. In a perfect world, what does that look like for Bo Kimball to say like, yo, my boy, the head coach? Like, and also, you do so many of these interviews. Like, do you see yourself on the other side of this too? So in a perfect world, what does that look like for Bo Kimball, man?
Well, first of all, I want to be one of the millions of people to welcome Doc Rivers to the city of brotherly love. And so this is a huge, huge sports town. And as you know how our fans are in all the different sports, you know, they support they love hard. And so, but, you know, growing up here in Philadelphia, the Sixers have always been my favorite team. Even though I've been out on the West Coast in LA for 35 years, everything is Philly first. What I'm excited about in a perfect world is I've been trying to reach out to Doc, and I'm trying to track him down right here, right now, to be honest, because I know that I want to, if possible, join his coaching staff, whether it's player development, any way he could see fit that I could help just work with the guys on and off the court. You know, growing up as a young player in the NBA, is a lot of stuff that's on the court, off the court, how to deal with all of those different stressors and how to put yourself in the best situation to succeed. So whether player development, on his coaching staff, hopefully doing some of the Sixers announcement stuff. I have a degree in communication, and as you can see, this is what I do this pretty well. So I'm just excited that he's going to be with the Sixers. I'm excited for this new chapter in our life, and I hope some way, somehow, and I don't mind begging, I'm trying to take our team to the championship. And anything I can do to help, I'm on board.
What's up, this went from an interview to a job.
Hey, Doc's my man, and like I said, I have a lot of great respect for Doc on and off the court. I know he's going to make our team better. We got the right tools right now to go deep into the playoffs, and I know that Doc will do the necessary stuff. If we need some trades to strengthen the team, Doc is going to do whatever it needs to be done to get us closer to that championship ring. And damn it, you know, I'm a diehard. I want our Sixers to win a championship, man. And anything I can do to help, I'm on board.
I love it. And it's great to have someone with a connection, a personal connection to the new head coach join us. The timing of this couldn't be better. Let's navigate towards Philadelphia basketball a little bit as a whole. I've seen you mention in interviews before the quote unquote Philly brand of basketball that contributed to some of your success as a player, or most of your success as a player. What does that Philly brand of basketball mean to you?
Philadelphia basketball, and one of the announcers, they referred to Jimmy Butler in the playoff when he scored 40 against the Lakers. He said Jimmy Butler was playing bully ball. Well, North Philly ball is that really super physical style of play. I was the kind of player that I had a finesse game, but I also had a power game, meaning that I had no problem taking on Shaq, dunking on Shaq, getting into the rim, drawing the foul, being knocked around. That's what Philly inner city urban ball is all about. Perfect example would be Hank Gathers. Get his first shots blocked playing against Shaquille O'Neal and Stanley Roberts, 2 7-footers. Hank gets his first 7 shots blocked, walk off the court with 48 points and 18 rebounds. And every NBA team was there to watch him play. So that's Philly ball. It doesn't matter what your accolades are. When this ball go up, we're going to kick your butt. And for me, with the kind of work ethic that I had, and as well as Hank, a lot of the stuff is mental, because when you put the work in and and coming up from Philly the way I came up, I played against so many older, better, faster players. So once I got among players that was my own age, they didn't know it, but I beat them before the ball went up, because I knew that if I can hold my own when I was from 10 to 18, hold my own against grown men 10 to 15 years older than me, stronger than me, better than me, faster than me, what do you think I'm going to do to you? And that's just how the mentality that I had. But again, that's all through my journey of coming up at Whittier Playground, coming through the Sunny Hill League. In order to be the best, you got to play the best. And Philadelphia basketball, we had growing up the best players you could ever imagine going up against. And that was part of our journey.
And man, I just want to say, Bo, you kind of wrapped that up in such a beautiful way. So I just want to add, you look at the bubble and you see we in some challenging times, but they had a playoff pool and our Sixers was in that playoffs. But outside of our Sixers being in the playoffs, we had some Philly guys in the playoffs too, and some that's still playing right now for the Lakers. There's a PA guy still playing over there on the Heat, and Derrick Jones. You guys like you, Flip Murray, Lionel Simmons, I can go on and on, that laid the foundation, the late, great Louis Lloyd, that laid the foundation from them Philly type of guys. How does that pride come to you when you see a Kyle Lowry guy have an NBA championship, that one of our own, the Marquise twins, is about to get a championship if they make it through the night? How does that make you feel to see most of our guys now in the playoffs, playing in playoff type basketball? How does that make you feel, setting that foundation and seeing this now?
Yeah, I was very happy to see Kyle Lowry get a championship with Toronto. That was nice to see. Now, that was, of course, after our Sixers loss. So that was hard to stomach that shot that went off the top of the backboard. But the point is, being a Philly guy, you root for other Philly guys. It was brought to my attention that when Hank Gathers and I went to on the West Coast to Loyola Marymount and had so much success at USC and Loyola Marymount, scoring 30 a game, and our team scoring 125 a game and breaking all those records, we started a trend of some of the best players starting to say, hey, you know what, Bo and Hank went out of state for success. People started to migrate out of town. Lionel Simmons was a perfect example, and as well as Doug Overton, guys that did stay local, great players. Doug had a 12, 13-year NBA career, and Lionel had a great career. So Philadelphia ball, if you can withstand the growing up in Philly ball, you can take your game anywhere in the world on the greatest stage, and you do not have to worry about compromising your game on the court or any situation that you have to deal with off the court. But I was very happy for all the success of the guys that had stronger NBA careers than I did. But again, I'm very blessed that I was able to have the kind of success in college where I was able to average 35 points a game and have the records that I have today.
All right, perfect segue, because you just talked about your college career. Let's talk about your journey, Bo, and your playing career. And you mentioned him by name 2 times. Hank Gathers is always part of your story. And this past year was 30 years later. I know you talk about him a lot. And when you do these interviews around, whether it's March Madness time or whenever it might be, and you're remembering Hank each and every year, what story or some of the stories do you enjoy telling the most?
Well, it's impossible to be close to Hank Gathers, whether you're a teammate, a relative, or a close associate. Hank just had an extraordinary presence, and he was always, believe it or not, the center of attention. So I think of Hank multiple times every day, but it's always happy thoughts. And I have so many stories. The best basketball story I enjoy telling is the one I told earlier, playing against Shaquille O'Neal. that he scored 48 points and 18 rebounds. To my knowledge, I don't think anyone else has ever done that against Shaq. Well, Hank Gathers did at 6'6", 6'7". And then other than that, Hank was actually a comedian off the court. So if you admire comedians and you love David Chappelle, Hank Gathers was David Chappelle. Every time I see David Chappelle, any joke, his delivery and everything, I see Hank Gathers. So, but it's always happy thoughts, and I celebrate his life. I don't think of how he died. I think of how he lived, and all the records that we broke. And we both made, Hank Gathers and myself, we made each other better. I only wanted to lead the nation in scoring after Hank did. I'm like, well, hold on now. I'm a better scorer than Hank. He's on the cover of every magazine. He's about to go pro early. And he inspired me to want to lead the nation in scoring. And I told Doug Overton, I said, well, you know what? Next year, I'm going to lead the nation in scoring. I set my mind to it, and I did it, which is still a record today. So I'm just very proud of the association. Another question people ask, hey, Bo, are you bothered with being always affiliated and associated with Hank Gathers? Absolutely not. Hank Gathers, who he was on and off the court as being a great guy, person I loved and respected, and to be affiliated with him. And also, I already had my own identity. I was the number 1 scorer in the world no matter what that year. And I was going to be a lottery pick no matter what, whether Hank was alive or not. So I had my own identity, but I'm very proud to be associated with Hank, and I'm very proud of the records that we both was able to acquire.
For you personally, in your career, at any level, I mean, Joe has told me there wasn't a league in Philly that you didn't play in, so it could be any level before college or after college. Who are some of the best players that you've played with or against? And I think obviously Hank would be in that group, but who are some of the others?
One of the guys at Whittier Playground is where I gained all my skills. And I was playing 11 hours a day at 27th and Clearfield. That's 1 block away from my house. So Leroy Choice and George Melton was the best 2 players in my immediate neighborhood. Leroy Choice was like a black version of Larry Bird. Wasn't going to jump high, but he's going to give you 30, 40 every night, and he's going to just outwit you, outsmart you. One of the other guys that I stole a lot of his moves and made was Lewis Lloyd, the late Lewis Lloyd. Now, I told Lewis when I saw him a couple years at All-Star Week, and I said, Lewis, I got to tell you, man, I stole about 3 of your moves. And I made a living off of those moves. He had a nice slow motion move coming across the paint. He would go full speed and then slow up, allow you to foul him, and one you all day. But it was those kind of players that you see and you emulate. And of course, I can't leave out Dr. J, who was hands down the #1 role model you could ever dream of growing up in Philadelphia. And when I met Doc, and he was so humble, so I asked him I was about 14, and we was in a tuxedo place. I asked him as many nervous questions, about 20, in a 5 or 10 minute span, and Doc answered every question. Never made me feel like I was a nuisance to him. And it was just Dr. J and me in the tuxedo place. And when he showed up at Loyola, because all the visiting teams practiced at Loyola Marymount when they played the Lakers and the Clippers, and he remembered meeting me that day. He said, "Hey, your name is Boo," and that was good enough, man. Doc, of all the people that Doc knows, that he remembered talking to this 14-year-old from Philly, and that just made my day. And I always vowed that if I wasn't a sociable player and I became an NBA player, I was going to give kids the same experience that Dr. J gave me. I just happened to be a talkative and sociable person, so I didn't have to work that hard at that.
That's awesome.
But again, growing up in Philadelphia, was a lot of players that I emulated my game after, but Lewis Lloyd and Leroy Choice was high on that list.
Joe, I know you're big on that, the level of competition that he just touched on.
Man, and the biggest thing is he talked about some leagues, and I want you to just touch on, because you talk about the Sunny Hill League, and man, for us, that was our Rutgers, that was our everything. And also, you can't talk Philly basketball. We're talking about 16th for Susquehanna, 33rd and Diamond, Huntington Park. Just name some of those memories you have of playing against some of those top guys in those playgrounds, man.
Yeah, you had Rico Washington, you had Nate Blackwell, you had Mike Anderson, Henry Smith. I mean, we're talking about guys, and I mentioned Lewis Lloyd. You're talking about guys that when they step on the court, you're not going to stop them. You might, but we're talking about really inner city rivalries. Lionel Simmons was part of that. So it was just such a, it was quite different now. Now people are not playing as much as they played then. Back then, we would leave Dobbins practice and go straight to play in 1 or 2 other leagues. But the Sunny Hill League was extraordinary, not only playing against the best people all throughout the state locally, but we were also on the Sunny Hill traveling team, going to Virginia, New York, D.C., playing up against the top guys. So you not only had a chance to measure yourself in Philadelphia, in the Belmont League, 33rd Street. Now, 16th for Susquehanna was something that was out of control. I mean, like, I remember one summer, Hank was playing in the summer league, and Hank's catching alley-oop from half court, hanging on the rim. This is on cement. And Hank could give a darn about how he land, but it was just the Philadelphia brand of basketball. And but 16th for Susquehanna, 33rd and Diamond, Whittier Playground, particularly for me, was where I got my skill set, and the rest is history.
Yes, sir. Philly, stand up, baby.
Yes, indeed.
So before we get to our final couple questions at the buzzer, which is usually just some random questions that we want to get in, you guys scored enough points in college that we've got to go there first, obviously, more specifically. Paul Westhead, the coach, coming from the NBA, the run and gun, up-tempo style. I mean, we could talk about a variety of different games, but 149 points in a win, an upset win over Michigan is a big one. It's a record-setting game. What do you remember about that offense and some of those games where you guys, like that Michigan game, put up so many points?
Well, the best part about our system, the Loyola Marymount running gun system, is that we never had to adjust our game for anybody. It didn't matter if you were a top 10 team, top 20, it didn't matter. We knew that you couldn't stop what we were doing, and we never had to adjust it. So we're going to shoot the ball every 4 seconds. And I did say every 4 to 5 seconds, we're going to shoot that ball. And you're going to know that we're going to be shooting it every 4 seconds. When we missed, you got a Hank Gathers coming down the paint, getting up all the loose change and all the offensive rebounds against smaller guards because he's beating his guys down. And then to top that off, whether we make the basket or miss, we're going to full court trap you the entire 40 minutes. And good luck with your trying to, good luck with trying to solve that press because your coach can't draw it where you're going to be because we don't even know where we're going to be. We're going to be everywhere. So it was just a beautiful system that allowed guys like Hank Gathers and myself to flourish. And we had really great team role players that was able to, to kind of fill in, understand what we were doing. And part of the system is also running the lane on offense for the other guy. You're not running it because you think you're going to get the wide open shot or the wide open layup. You're running it for the other guy. And it just was just a unique system for Hank Gathers' game and my game. And I was very blessed, like I said, with that, you add Westhead's offense, and Westhead was from Philadelphia, and you matched it to Hank and I skill set. Hank Gathers was able to get the ball, get the offensive rebound, and go coast to coast if he wanted to. He had that skill set and the green light from Westhead to do it. Paul Westhead made it crystal clear to me, if you are ever open inside the hash mark and you don't shoot that three-pointer, you're going to have a seat right next to me. So he made that crystal clear. And just imagine dreaming for any player, like a Hank Gathers style game in my game, that a coach tell you every single time you touch the ball, bombs away. So I couldn't dream of a better experience playing for Paul Westhead. And again, for everybody else, that's why we have the highest top 6 games in history. I have the highest NCAA postseason average of 37.9 a game, which is number 1. And there's nobody on the face of the earth can say they average 35 points in college anywhere in the world. And that's a record those are records that I'm proud of. Our team has about 20 records. Hank Gathers have about 30 as well. So we're just proud to be part of history and represent Philadelphia and bring it full circle. I'm blessed to be back home and giving back to my community.
Right. And Joe, I want to leave space for you to jump in quickly on some of the stuff that Bo just mentioned about that Loyola Marymount, that LMU team. But 4 seconds or less is just insane. I've been enjoying watching the highlights. And to quickly tie it back to Doc Rivers, I read a story in The Athletic recently about how Doc told Jamal Crawford in LA, full on green light, just shoot it every time. So it made me think of Doc in that way. But Joe, those teams were just so exciting to watch.
Man, you talk about was that I want to say it was University of Arkansas Coach Nolan Richardson with 40 minutes of hell or 48 minutes of hell. Like that's where all that kind of come from. D'Antoni, he has the same mindset or 8 seconds or less. Paul West at that time, he was an innovator. He was an innovator on that basketball court. He had the players to do it. But I want to just leave you with this, Bo. We talk about a lot of basketball, a lot of great things that you've done. But you and I know we have a great relationship and a diverse relationship because you do so many things. And I was more proud the day that I brought you down to the 76ers Fieldhouse to watch the Blue Coats up close and personal and introduce you to our staff, our players, our coach, and a beautiful facility you had, and some people that you know in the community. Just someone like you still out here in the community with the recognition of the things that you bring to the table.
Yeah, some of your question faded out, Joe, but it was talking about the community. But I've been blessed to watch people like Sonny Hill, give back and understanding what that's about, being as a retired player, being blessed to have resources, and people along the way have helped me. So my first journey coming back to Philadelphia was to help people go from from renting to home ownership. So I started the Bo Kimball Foundation. And through the 30 years, I've been doing a lot of public speaking. I've also did some coaching, trying to break the coaching ranks in the college and in the NBA. But when it comes to giving back, you know, for the kids, I want them to have the same experience that I was blessed to have. I always had people encouraging me how important education was. And I thank God I woke up before it was too late, because school wasn't at the top of my mind in the beginning, but I woke up before it was too late. So when I'm giving speeches to kids, I let them know that dreams come true. If you can hear my voice and see my face, I'm literally every day as we speak, living my dream. And if you don't believe in yourself and you don't have positive people around you, a lot of times you think that, you know, 99% of most of the young kids who want to be pro athletes in any sport are not going to make it. But it's that 1%, if you put the work in and you stay dedicated to what your dream and what your passion is, I let them know, one, dreams come true, and there's only one person in the world that can stop you, and that's you. So I look at life as the game of basketball. You'll never make every shot, but you got to learn how to make more shots than you miss, which means make more quality decisions in your life than the poor ones, and you'll be blessed that what you put in is what you get out, and you'll have you'll have more of the kind of life you're trying to live. But you know, there's no better way to celebrate your life and your legacy than helping someone else fulfill theirs. And so that's one of the things that I take to heart when it comes to giving back. I do it sincerely, but I'm just recycling all the great love that was given to me. So that's what it's really all about. Awesome. That's real brotherly love, Brother Joe. Real brotherly love, giving back.
So let's call this one a buzzer beater, because I just got one more question, a quick one at the buzzer. Okay. Go out on a lighter note. Obviously that was inspiring stuff too, so it wasn't a bad note, but let's leave you with a quick hitter like we like to leave our guests. I see that you're into golf. So what is your favorite hobby? Is it golf?
100% golf, and more golf. And so I love golf like I love the game of basketball. And so when you're putting a lot of time in, it don't feel like work. But you're spot on, man. I love the golf. I play at least 2 to 3 times a week.
We'll have to get out together sometime. We'll get a group together to play. I like to play myself. We might have to teach Joe a little bit. I don't think we went to Top Golf recently and hit some on the range, and I think he needs a little bit, some tips from you probably.
Well, the good is nobody's Tiger Woods, Joe and Matt, so we're all good. So get out there and hit those trees like the rest of us.
We will get out there together at some point, and we'll bring Joe along. But this was a lot of great stuff on this episode, and we thank you for the time, Bo.
Thank you, Matt and Joe, for having me at any time. Go Sixers, go Blue Coats.
For my partner, Joe Richmond, I'm Matt Murphy, and we will catch you next time on the Blue Coats Beat.